Hello and welcome to the show. I'm here on Project Cars 2 with another vehicle taking on the snowy Nurburgring. Now, a lot of people wanted to see me try a rally car or a rallycross car. Truth be told, those cars will go to the top of the table. Why? Because they are designed for this sort of thing. They've got massive all-wheel drive traction and they're actually designed to deal with these sort of conditions. But it did get me thinking. What about a rear-wheel drive rally car like this Renault 5 Turbo? You see, yes, this is designed with rallying in mind. It's designed to deal with some snow. But it doesn't have the huge benefits of that all-wheel drive traction. So, yeah, how quick would this vehicle be? Now, there are pluses and minuses to it. It's not massively powerful. 360 horsepower makes it one of the least powerful cars that we have had run. And it doesn't have the huge amount of aero parts, the huge downforce that you get with the likes of the Formula A car or with the Ford. But it is designed, and it might well be able to find grip, make grip in different ways to the likes of the Ford GT, because that wasn't set up at all to deal with snow. So, yeah, I'm kind of curious. Our target time, the fastest time set by the GTE Ford is an 8:44, which is pretty damn fast, and that moved the benchmark a long, long way out. I don't know if the Renault can beat that. I don't think it's going to have, certainly it's not going to have the straight line speed of the Ford. We will probably not be able to carry the corner speed either, but you never know. I think a sub 9 minute might be possible. We might be able to beat the Astra. The Astra's at 8:59, but I do only have one lap to try and do it, so you know, no mistakes on one of the toughest tracks in the world in awful conditions. At least this time around, though, I don't have to say in a car that's not at all designed for them, because snow is something rally cars have to contend with. Now, what made the Ford so very quick around here was the fact that the back end stayed planted, the fact that the back end didn't move around. And I am, well, pleased to say, so far, it's a trait the Renault 5 has got a little bit as well. The car, like the Formula A, the Zonda R, had quite a lot of turn-in grip. They could actually get them into the corners very well, but the back end didn't stick. The back end moved around an awful lot, and that made them very difficult to drive. It meant you were constantly fighting the car. The Ford didn't do that. The Ford didn't do that at all, and I'm pleased to inform you that the Renault doesn't look like this is really going to do too much of it either. There is, of course, still a finite level of grip, whether it be the front end that lets go, the rear end lets go, whatever bit lets go, or they all let go at the same time when you neutral steer off the circuit. There is still a finite amount of grip. We're on snow. That finite amount of grip is still relatively low. But this is actually pretty good. I mean, I'm flat down here. We're actually getting close to the limiter of this car. We're going to be 100, so 110 miles an hour around there. The back end moving slightly. One thing I am very impressed with actually getting stopped down there is the brakes on this car. Again, another area of concern, another area where you often get into problems, trying to slow the cars down, of course. You're going 120 miles an hour on snow, there's not much grip to slow down with. And cars like the NASCAR, for example, was terrible in that the tiniest movement locked up the brakes. You have to be so careful with the brakes. This, I'm able to be really aggressive with them, but it doesn't lock up. I mean, it will still lock up. There'll be a point where it'll lock up. But, again, you can be a lot more aggressive with this car, and you will be okay. And that makes it easier to be consistent. That makes it easier to be smoother with a car when you've got one lap. When you've got that one lap to work with it, that makes life a lot easier, and you're potentially able to extract, there was a little bit of a lock up there, but you're potentially able to extract more performance out of the car. We got a little bit sliding around there. It's still, you know, at the end of the day, we are still on snow, we are still rear wheel drive. It's going to move around. It's a horrible corner. Especially in the snow, and especially with those cars I was talking about being difficult under braking there, because the road falls downhill so much. Trying to get your braking pressure right and just not lock up and plough into the wall is not easy one to do. It's very, very easy to make silly mistakes at that corner. It's easy to make silly mistakes at that corner in general, let alone in these conditions. I very nearly put a wheel on the grass, and again, wheel on the grass, normal conditions, bad through there. Wheel on the snowy grass would probably end up in a spin. Thankfully, we have got away with that okay. Oh, it's a little bit of a bobble. I don't know if that was curb assisted. This car shouldn't have any problems with dealing with curbs, let's face it. Nurburgring curbs are nasty, there's no doubt about that. They are very, very big curbs, but if it's a rally car, it's going to deal with far worse bumps and far worse issues than curbs. So there we go. Don't think we want second gear coming up over that hill. I can't quite get to full throttle over the... Well, we can try by the time we get to the top of the hill. We should be full throttle the entire way down. Well, maybe not around that corner. I'm not sure if I trust the car. I trust it quite a lot, but like a lot of these corners that aren't normally corners are now really big, scary corners. Like a lot of the corners you don't think about whatsoever normally. They're just flat out and you turn around it. Are now are we flat out? Do we have to have a little lift? Do we have to have a little brake? Will the back end step out on me randomly? Despite this car's lack of massive aero stuff, it is pretty planted. I mean, it will still let go. The back end will still move around, but on the most parts, it is working pretty well. This is where we do struggle. You know, we're not going to have the power. We're not going to have the straight line speed. The snow ice tyres do add additional friction, which does slow cars down from what their normal top speed would be. We've seen it with other vehicles as well. So I mean, we're talking about 130 miles an hour. At the end of the day, you know, the Group B cars were all about acceleration. They never really worried too much about the ultimate top speed. So yeah, we're going to struggle a tad in terms of the the ultimate straight line speed. We're not going to be doing 200 miles an hour down the straight, but we are considerably more controllable than the Can-Am car that could do 200 miles an hour down the straight. So, you know, there are pluses, there are minuses. Let's try and slow you down into the carousel we go without too much of a problem. That's actually, it's very good, this car. I say it like I'm surprised. I feared there was going to be more moving around. I feared there was going to be more wiggling. I feared the back end would be considerably more lively than it is. It is actually doing very, very well. It's doing very well indeed. And this is also a turbocharged car. I did check before I started filming that the boost pressure comes in, it's from standard at 100%. Of course, as people would always want me to stick the boost pressure up to maximum, and there isn't. Again, much like the Ford was turboed as well, has all sorts of fancy modern technology. This, I mean, is still pretty crazy technology, to be honest, in the Group B cars, and this turbo doesn't spool up like a lunatic, not like it does in the Sierra. Yeah, I'm not having trouble with it suddenly hitting the boost threshold and going very sideways. I mean, I probably could have trouble if I was a real moron, but at the most part, I'm being fairly sensible here, fairly okay here, and yeah, I mean, it's quite impressive. It's quite impressive. It's sure, it lets go, it'll go sideways if you put your foot down, but it's not that snappy, horrible turbo issues that we have seen from some of the ludicrous cars, like the Can-Am car, where when you whack those up to maximum, they get quite on the scary side, shall we say. Now, how fast dare we be down here? Oh, there's almost some airtime. Not quite. I don't really want to be dealing with airtime. I mean, the actual takeoff isn't the problem, it's when it lands, if the car twists ever so slightly, what's it going to do then? That's what we don't really want to try and find out if we can help it. Whoa, okay, that got a little bit wiggly there, and I wasn't quite... Why are we wiggling there? You've been so good, car! You've been pretty good up until now. Now the back end started. Maybe it's just because I'm being a bit braver than I would normally be through there. I'm trying to turn in that little bit sharper. I don't think there is quite the... It's not quite the same ultimate levels of grip as the Ford. I think this is a little bit more likely to step out on you than the Ford. But I also do think that perhaps this is a tad easier to save if it does. The rally car, while not got the steering lock of a Formula Drift car, the rally car will have a bit more steering lock, which does make it a touch easier to catch should it start sliding around. Can we get away? Where can we get on the power? Not just yet, because it's moving all the way around that final corner. And now we run flat out down the straight. It won't really like this bit too much. Now we wait. Now we wait. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm looking at the time. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do a sub 9 minute run. It's going to be pretty quick, this car, but I'm not sure it's going to be a sub 9 minute. 30 seconds to get to the end of the straight, to get round the kinks, to do the chicane, and then do that final corner. I mean, I'll do it as fast as I bloody can, but I'm not sure we've got it in us. I'm not sure we're going to be quite quick enough. Now, where on earth do we brake down here? Again, it's really nice having brakes that I trust. I mean, not entirely because we're on snow, but trust a lot more than some of the brakes we've had to deal with. That was a eagerness on the throttle, got the better of me a touch there. Come on, Renault. No, you're going to slide and wiggle. It's not going to be a sub 9 minute. In fact, it's going to be a 9:11 from the Renault 5. We did get a bit of movement, shall we say, around those final corners as I tried to get to the throttle. A 9:11 is still not too shabby a lap time, mind. It is, yeah, a nice car to drive. The lap time is going to put it into 4th place, which is not too bad a place to go whatsoever. It doesn't beat the touring car. I mean, it's 12 seconds down on the Astra touring car. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought it might be a touch closer. I mean, the Astra, you are able to jump on the power immediately out of every corner, pretty much. This, you've got to be a bit more careful, but didn't feel too bad. We do lose out also to the Formula A car. That was a 9:04. 6 seconds down on a Formula 1 car, though, I think is pretty good going. 4 seconds clear of the Zonda, the Lotus Type 56, beats the Camaro Z28, beats the Audi S1 that was the old road car all-wheel drive benchmark. Yeah, it's good fun to drive around here. It's good fun to drive around here, and it is one of the cars that you get confidence in quite early on. It doesn't move around anywhere near as much as some of the cars, which is very nice. Actually having a back end that is stuck to the road does make life considerably easier. That all being said, yeah, it's not as fast as the Ford. The straight line speed probably won't help this car in places. Certainly, although the touring car didn't have great straight line speed either. So yeah, it's good. It is good, and it's good fun around here. One of the easier cars, I would say, to take around here. And it is pretty damn fast, just not quite as quick as an Astra touring car or a Ford GTE car. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.